Good morning. Good morning. I am Lee Kinvey. I'm the intern minister here at First Parish in Groton. It probably seems like we've hijacked your service. What happened is that we've already learned so much about streaming from Zoom. And, we're going to do the best we can. Our biggest apologies are because apparently the live chat does not work on the Zoom when we're on the YouTube when we're zooming. So, that is really disappointing because for those of us who are here live on Sunday morning, it's really fun to chat. What I can suggest is maybe if you know some people and you know their email or their text number, you could start a little chain. In any case, welcome to the First Parish of Groton, Massachusetts. Your minister, Reverend Aaliyah Kemmler, is recovering from some sort of winter virus this morning. I'm very happy to have conspired with Marissa and John Appleton, Cindy and Sean to get her a sick day today. This is a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. Unitarian Universalism is a faith for everybody. So whoever you are, whatever country you come from, whomever you love, whatever your gender or abilities, your challenges or gifts, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are so welcome in this virtual at the moment and very real community. If you are here for the first time, I'm really glad that you found us. Typically, members of our Welcoming All group will greet you in the chat. That's not going to be able to happen this morning, so we encourage you to reach out with an email to welcome@uugroton, GROTON.org, to find out more about how to become involved. Everyone is still invited to coffee and conversation after the service today on Zoom. It is true that you have to bring your own coffee at the moment, but at least it'll be the kind you like. You will see the information on the screen at the end of the service. And thank you so much to my co-conspirators, as always, Sean McCann, Director of Music Ministries at First Parish, for that beautiful prelude and the postlude that we'll get treated to later. And special thanks to Marissa Benson, who is with us live from the West Coast, where it is very early in the morning. The love that holds this congregation together is very real, and it's not limited by technical difficulties or screens or distance. I'm going to invite us into 3 deep, deep breaths, accompanied by the sound of the Himalayan singing bowl. The first breath is for yourself. The second is for those you love. And the third is for the whole world. Marissa is going to light our chalice today and sing Spirit of Life for us. We're really sorry we have nowhere to put the words, so you're going to have to pull them out of your memory this time. Thank you so much, Marissa.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here live with you all. So today I'm going to light the chalice. How do you feel when you are alone? Tell me honestly. Do you feel at peace? Do you feel at ease? Or do you distract yourself? Grab your phone, run straight into the next task? Do you take space to breathe? Or is there some ever-present pressure pushing you to do more? It's Saturday night, and I sit alone on my couch. No music playing, no television screen buzzing in the background. Just me and the hum of my refrigerator. It was just an hour ago when my house was emptied of its people. Everyone had plans but me. But I didn't know I'd be alone. It all came on like a storm I didn't expect was coming. But here it was. It swallowed me up. The first visitor was anxiety. She hugged me close, tightening my body enough to disrupt me, but subtle enough where I tried to ignore her. Second was confusion. What's happening to me, I asked. I'm alone all the time. What is this incessant feeling, this closing in my throat? The last was fear. She took me down in one gulp. She didn't wait to chew. She knew she had me, her thoughts fluttering in my mind, this way and that. What do I do? I'm alone. What will I find here? What if I don't like what I find? What if I'm scared, lonely, sad? Who do I call? How will I escape this feeling? What do I do with myself? The answer came as a quiet whisper. Nothing. I will do nothing. I will not turn on music or the television. I will not get on social media or call a friend. I will not eat sweets or distract myself with food. I will just sit with myself and be. I will lean into the discomfort and fear that surrounds me. I will sit in the quiet of the house and listen to my own breath. I will choose presence. I will choose to be here, even if it scares me. It's odd to realize that this is where the relief lies, the letting go and giving in. Even if it's an uncomfortable feeling, sensation, or situation, surrendering to what is where the relief lies. Eckhart Tolle says, boredom, anger, sadness, or fear are not yours, not personal. They are conditions of the human mind. They come and go. Nothing that comes and goes is really you. Always say yes to the present moment. Surrender to what is. Say yes to life and see how life starts suddenly working for you rather than against you. His words pierce the layers of my being that I have been unaware of, bringing consciousness to the way my mind plays me. When I first began listening to Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, a few months ago, I was floored by how simple and resonant his teachings were. I played it for weeks just before bed as my partner and I tucked in for the night. I tried to invite his words to seep into my consciousness, but the practice dwindled, and only yesterday morning did I reopen the book. It was a cosmic message to myself and my mind, a care package for my soul. It was an essential reminder that I am not my mind. I am not my mind. That my mind loves to be the center of attention. It thrives in mental noise and chaos. It craves pain and drama. It lives its life in the past and in the future only, fiending for my attention. My fear of being alone is just a story of my mind. It's afraid of the present because my mind only operates in the past and the future. My mind wants me to believe that the next moment and the next moment and the next moment is more important than the present. But if I listen to my mind, It will strip me of this moment, the only moment where I am truly alive. So instead, I choose to put down the obsessions of my mind, the shoulds and what ifs, the fears and insecurities. And suddenly, freedom is there waiting for me on the other side, waiting for me in the quiet room, the empty house, the moonlit walk, the time alone, the stillness, the presence. The thing my mind was so afraid of is actually the only thing that is real, the now. So today, I light the chalice for bravery, the bravery to be alone with ourselves, for presence and the wisdom keepers who guide us there. And now I'll invite you to sing Spirit of Life with me, first in Spanish and then in English. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y la corazón, cántale tu compasión, sopalovar, sube en la mar, hacia modelar la justicia de la vida. Agrégame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you so much, Marissa. If you are just joining us on YouTube Live, welcome, welcome. We have figured out this morning that because we are streaming from Zoom, that somehow has disabled the YouTube Live chat. We really didn't know that. And we're really sorry. It is so fun to chat and to talk to each other and to connect. And it is just not available this morning. So you're going to have to go to alternate streams, texting and messenger and email and whatever you got available. Or just come to the Zoom chat afterward, the coffee hour. I won't be able to join you, but Marissa and all the other folks will be here and you can talk then. So I would like to talk with the children a little bit this morning. This is less a story for you than sort of a chat with you, I think. Reverend Aaliyah did show me how to do the gathering words, so I'm gonna try that. So let's try them together. Will you help me? Okay. We are Unitarian Universalists, right? With minds that think, hearts that love, and hands ready to help. So bicycles have two wheels, right? And if I'm bilingual, I have two languages that I can speak. Binaries involve two things. And in our culture that we live in, we have a thing called the gender binary. And it says that there are two sexes, two genders, right? And hopefully you're able to see these boxes. They have like the women's sign from the restroom, right? And the pink, and the men's sign from the restroom, and the blue. So this system that we set up called the gender binary, right, meaning two, says that these boxes clearly are separate. They're sealed shut. There's no overlap, right? There are no other choices. These are the only games in town right here. You've got no options. This is choose, you're in one or you're in the other. You're a girl or you're a boy. You're a female or you're a male. You're a man or you're a woman. When people have babies, generally a lot of people will say, "What is it?" Well, it's a human. But what they want to know is they're asking which of these boxes does the baby fit in. And it's kind of amazing how intense people get about this binary thing. Our language holds it very, very strongly. And if you are a young person and you're listening to this right now, you already know that there's a problem with these boxes. You already know that it's actually false, that it doesn't really work. That there are folks who are assigned female at birth based on their body parts, whose experience of themselves, real experience inside is male, and the other way around. And there are quite a few people who just don't fit in either of those boxes, right? And you all are the first generation to really understand that. I'm actually like that. I tried for a really hard for a really long time to fit in a box. And it always felt sad and wrong. And like I was getting squeezed into something that didn't fit. You ever have to wear something that you wore 2 years ago and it just doesn't fit anymore? It felt like that. And I couldn't quite describe it because I didn't really know what was wrong, right? And when I tried to describe it to somebody last summer, I ended up making a little video about it that I think I'm going to show you, because the thing that I found that was helpful to describe it was actually color. You know how you can mix purple and so you can mix blue and red and get purple? So I described mine using green. So try this for size. In talking with folks about describing my gender as non-binary, the metaphor that's working best for me right now is color. So asking if I identify as a man or as a woman is like asking, are you yellow or blue? And my response is, I'm green. So many shades of green. And some days that feels like both. And some days it feels like between. And some days it feels like neither. So that's what I came up with, this metaphor of the green color being a mixture of yellow and blue. And it's not yellow or blue, right? And it's yellow and blue. And it's just the best, it's the closest I could come to finding a way to describe what I felt like. If you belong to this wonderful generation called Gen Z, which are like the 11 to 23-year-olds right now, or Gen Alpha, who are now like 10 and under, and you were raised in a Western culture, right? Then you grew up with smartphones and tablets, and you have been exposed to a huge range of different people from the time you were little, including lots of people of different genders, people that don't fit in those boxes. And so you get this, right? Because more exposure leads to more openness and more possibility. And you are a very, very open, possible generation. You Zoomers probably don't believe that gender defines a person the way that my generation did. You're much more likely to experience people and not labels. You probably, statistically, meaning like by the numbers, you probably know somebody personally who uses gender-neutral pronouns like they, them. And you probably find it easy to do that. You are the ones asking, why do we need the tape on these boxes? Who sealed these boxes shut? Why can't we just open them? I've got scissors. I've got a knife. Why are they pink? Why blue? What is this all about? I owe you all so much, because I would not know who I am, really. I would not have gotten out of that sad, uncomfortable place I was in my whole life if it weren't for you. And I owe you a debt of gratitude, and I will show up for you, I promise. You are our best hope for the future, and I hope that you're going to continue to insist that all the genders are available to all of us. And I'm going to ask for your patience as the older folks catch up with you. Okay? So I couldn't find a good picture book today. That's what we got for you. I'm going to move us into a brief reading, which is a piece called Marginal Wisdom, written by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. I studied preaching with Reverend Takahashi at Star King School for the Ministry. She writes, "They teach us to read in black and white. Truth is this, the rest false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth with many hues, but we're taught to think in either or. You believe in the teachings of Jesus or Buddha. To believe in human potential or the power of will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and. We're taught to see absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when we will all know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center. Deep breath invites you into your physical surroundings, entering into a time of quiet meditation and prayer, or simply resting and listening. Typically, we would be able to share joys and concerns in the chats today. Please come to, if you're here live on Sunday morning, please come to the Zoom coffee hour if you can and talk to us about what's on your heart. Okay. I'm going to offer a sung meditation and then a short prayer. This is Jen Mizell song. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind, mind. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind, mind. Life is change, love remains all the time, time. Life is change, love remains all the time, time. From the eagle in the sky to the fish in the sea, to the great grandparents watching over me. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind, mind. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind, mind. So invite us to hold collectively all the sorrows and concerns weighing on us. to witness our own sorrow, to witness those who might be in our physical surroundings, to hold our own gratitude and joy and that of the community. We pray for all who are sick. We pray for all who are grieving. We pray for those who work in healthcare. We pray for those who work in public service, from first responders to teachers, from grocery store and pharmacy employees to those working front counters. We pray for those in our community, including Reverend Aaliyah, for her continued recovery, including Sarah, who is recovering from sinus surgery. We send light and love to Nancy, who continues to recover from hip replacement, for Sue, who has gotten good medical report after surgery. We hold Anne's brother, Frank, and Bob S., both of whom are facing ongoing treatment for cancer. We hold close Bob T., who is grieving the death of Brenda, whose life was celebrated just this past Wednesday. The cold air when we go out in it is bracing on our lungs these days, filling our chests with crisp oxygen, reminding us that we are blissfully, fearfully alive in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. We breathe, filling ourselves with spirit in and out. And now, laying down our burdens. For as we gather here, even virtually, beloveds, as always with unfinished business, we gather to remember the blessings, to remember the miracles, to remember the heartbreaks, and to remember that being alive at its best is like cold air in the lungs, so exhilarating that it almost hurts. May we each find something here today that reminds us of the bracing wake-up call of being alive and the comforting truth that we never face that exhilaration alone, and we never face the depth of our sorrow alone. Amen. It has felt to me recently like this country is going through a huge change, and we're somewhere in the middle of it. And we make a lot of guesses, but we really have no way of knowing where it's going. Here in the middle is all the potential and all the possibility. Maybe you have too. I've had quite a number of those kinds of transformative times in my life. Maybe you can think of when those were for you, when the roads parted and you went one way or the other, or you came across a new discovery, you made a decision. And sometimes the process of getting there is intense. Discovered something about yourself. One of my adventures, as you might call it, in this arena turned out to be in part about coming to understand that in terms of gender, I just don't fit in those boxes, that I never have. And the boxes are a lighthearted illustration. And I'm really settled and happy in where I am now and who I am now. But I have to tell you, what it took to shake me out of those sealed boxes, in spite of being part of queer community since the 80s, in spite of having a trans daughter of my own, it was months of what felt like a forging in the fire. It felt like my spirit was getting melted down and I was moving through unrecognizable stages. And I really had no way of knowing in the middle of it what in the world was going on. I didn't know it was about gender. I didn't know what was going on. But it took that level of forging, and I think that's my metaphor because I had a blacksmith grandfather. It took that to clear enough internal space to make room for this really deep truth that I don't fit in those boxes. I will never forget the moment that truth like dropped in. It was one of the most mind-blowing, life-altering, liberating, right? Energizing, exhilarating experiences I have ever had sitting in a room all by myself. And I will spend the rest of my life unfolding this process. I think of gender as a process. There are so many lies out there about gender and about biological sex too. And they're different, right? In terms of our biology, the myth is that whoever catches us when we're born, right, sort of glances at our genitals and declares which box we're supposed to live in for the rest of our lives. But actually, biological sex is way more complicated than that. It has to do with chromosomes and gonads and physiological hormones and reproductive anatomy and external genitalia. And 1 to 2% of the population is intersex. Now, intersex and non-binary are different. Okay? Intersex is an umbrella term that describes bodies that fall outside of the male-female binary. Bodies, not identities. And there are lots of different ways to be intersex. An interesting thing is that 1 to 2% of the population in the United States is intersex, which is the same percentage of the population as has red hair. So if you have met somebody with red hair, which I'm thinking everybody who's been to this congregation before may have, right? You are also likely to have met somebody who's intersex, same percentage of the population. Now, non-binary is also an umbrella term, right, that describes identity, describes people who do not identify as man or woman. It describes people who identify with gender outside of the binary or don't identify with gender at all. And the amazing thing is that genders are essentially not limited. There's no official count. And don't worry, you don't have to keep track of all the names, all right? On the surface, so I tell you, I use they, them pronouns. And on the surface, the request to remember people's pronouns is what we're asking, right? And many of us who identify as non-binary do use they, them, although there are certainly other pronouns that people use. And I have to say, we understand that this can be hard for people, right? Because although we do use the singular they in English already, we don't usually notice it, and we usually use it when we don't know the person's gender, because our brains have been trained to put people in those boxes, right? And usually using they feels like it should be plural, and you do use plural construction with it. They are. You don't say they is. But it takes practice saying it out loud to use it with a person. And luckily, you can practice. You can be awkward. You can just, stumble around with it as we learn to interact with folks. The other thing is that when you're talking to people who are non-binary directly, you just say you. So you don't have to worry too much about it when you're with us, right? It's only in the third person that you have to make the switch. So, if you're talking about me, yeah, Lee did the service today and they talked about their experience of gender. And the thing is that everybody gets it wrong. I get it wrong. I mess up all the time in terms of pronouns. And you stop, you apologize, correct yourself, go on. No big deal. Right? There's no problem with messing up. We do not have to sign on for expecting perfection from ourselves or anyone else for this or anything else. Right? It's not about perfection. That's not who humans are. We just keep practicing. We're about relationship. We're about connection. And I am here to be in relationship with you for 2 years, to learn with you and to grow with you. And hopefully, you'll extend permission for me to learn and grow, sometimes awkwardly, right, in my ministry. And sometimes I'm going to ask awkward questions. And so if we all just have permission to be awkward with the pronouns and to ask questions and to say, I don't quite get it, can we talk about it? Then that's it. That's where the magic is. That's where the connection and the relationship and the growth and the change are. And I also want to say that I don't think it's fair to say that what people who are non-binary and asking for alternate pronouns like they, them, are asking for is a change in language. Because I think the request is deeper than a change in language. To be in significant, mutual, ongoing relationship with someone who's non-binary asks you to change how you're experiencing, seeing, understanding the person. And because we're asking you to understand us outside of the binary, the implication of the request is that you pay attention to the binary and that you question the truth of it. Now, I'm talking mostly with this is directed at folks who identify as what we call cisgender, which just means that your experience, your internal experience of your gender matches the box that they put you in essentially when you were born. That's called cisgender. So those of you who are non-binary out there listening, I apologize. I'm talking to the other folks. I think what we're really asking is for you to start to feel some of what we feel when we encounter the world so divided into two boxes. If I'm asking you to really perceive me as outside of the gender binary, then I'm also asking you to let go of a little corner of the binary itself. And that takes emotional work. It takes less energy to move through the world on gender autopilot than it does to really think about it and counter it. So when we're in gender autopilot, we look at people and we immediately categorize, right? You glance at somebody, you get their race, you get their gender. And then, next you get all sorts of other characteristics. But race leads first and gender is right behind it. We categorize people and we go on to gender autopilot because it makes all sorts of things easier. We don't have to spend a lot of time there. But, we're asking you to understand that for trans and non-binary folks, gender autopilot is permanently off. It's always off. So when you're in relationship with us, we're asking you to spend some time there too, which is emotional labor. And I think it's good to acknowledge that. Categorizing things into two boxes, two sides, simplifies it for us, right? It brings comfort. It brings reassurance of a world that has order. And I get that. The problem comes when we make the simplification into the reality, and then we choose that reality over what people are telling us is their actual experience of their actual lives. It's not easy identifying outside the binary. It's not a game. It's intense, almost all the time. So think how important it must be for us to do it, right? Because no one transitions to become less happy. It's that important. So the spiritual question here, the religious question, one of them is, who do we want to be in relation to our fellow humans? Non-binary is an invitation to all of us to experience how big and deep and expansive the world can be. This world is changing as the number of people identifying outside of woman and man increases and increases. This is one of the obvious ways our world is changing. And we owe it to ourselves and each other to learn about it. Who do we, as Unitarian Universalists, those of us who do identify that way, who do we want to be in terms of our welcome to trans and non-binary folks? If you take a look at this in-depth report that the trans UUs did in 2018, they did a survey of trans UUs, and they found that the majority actually identified as non-binary, but only 44% said they felt spiritually connected and nourished in their home congregation. 72% of transgender Unitarian Universalists do not feel like their congregation is completely inclusive of trans and non-binary people. Over half of the non-binary folks said they regularly experience marginalization within UU spaces, and marginalization was the number one reason that people left. So we start by observing our own gender autopilot, sometimes turning it off on purpose. We can watch the parts of us that find it really hard to meet somebody whose gender isn't instantly legible to us. We just watch them, gentle with yourself, right? We smile and nod, and we understand that we learned the lesson of the boxes. Everybody taught us the lesson of the boxes, right? And so this is not easy to unlearn, right? And so, we understand ourselves, that we are comforted by categorizing, and that we can be uncomfortable. We can do that. We can grow our capacity for non-binary thinking. And our capacity for a more non-binary worldview helps us understand that the world around us, seeming like one thing or the other, just isn't true, and it doesn't serve us. There are so many false binaries out there that we can work on breaking down. Scientific or spiritual, religious or secular, traditional or modern, Eastern or Western. That's Reverend Takahashi's poem, The Big Both And. I've worked as a hospice music therapist for a long time, and I have seen close up how much better people do who can see themselves as many different things at the same time. That's non-binary thinking. Alive and dying, anxious and moved and grateful and sad and loving. And those of us who do the work learn to respond to everyone with the same amount of care, with the same exquisite care. A few weeks ago, I was singing for a patient who had been a medical doctor. I guess he still was. And I had spent a lot of time with him. I sang him to sleep on multiple occasions. I'm really good at putting people to sleep. Hopefully, that's not working for the sermon, but we were engaged in life review. And he started talking about leaving medicine. And I realized that he'd left medicine before the typical retirement age. And so I asked him about it. And he said, well, yeah, I got out of there when they told me I had to use the wrong pronouns for my patient. And I kind of looked at him and he said, well, I had to call her he, for crying out loud. Well, I'd had enough. So here I am, sitting in front of him with a trans daughter. And so I just said, it sounds like you had a strong response to that situation. And he said, of course I did. And then he asked me if I would play As Time Goes By, and then a lullaby so that he could relax and go to sleep. Of course. My hospice patients are not red or blue. They're just people. So one more example. How might a discussion of the flag of the United States change through a non-binary filter, right? Our national anthem talks about rockets and bombs and giving proof that our flag was still there. So what does the steadfastness of the United States mean to you? Does it mean something different after January 6th than it did before? Does it bring comfort? Does it symbolize the survival of our democracy, if just barely? And maybe it also represents a kind of stubborn endurance that is also a constant threat to some people, maybe to some of us. Can we feel our way into how the flag represents danger and freedom and liberty and oppression and justice and erasure and survival and genocide? Since I have already learned that offering spiritual homework is something that I can get away with here, should you choose to accept it, this week your spiritual work is to just pay attention to all the language that you hear that props up the gender binary. Just hear it. In words, in songs, see it in images, observe it in our own thoughts. Just notice. I'm going to close here with a song that is also an invitation. It was written by my dear friend Judy Fiel, who I'll probably tell you more about someday. She is the only reason I sing. She's the only reason I play guitar. She's the only reason I'm a music therapist. This is her song called "Will You Join Me on This Journey?" Will you join me on this journey? It gives me strength to take your hand. The road is long, sometimes I'm weary. Will you take my hand? And we'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, and we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing a wave so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me on this journey? I need to hear your voice. So many times I can't find the words. Well, you sang to me in your lovely voice. And we'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, and we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing a wave so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me on this journey? It lightens my heart to see you smile. Sometimes I am discouraged. Will you look my way and smile? And we'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, and we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing a wave so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me on this journey? I want you there beside me. There are times I lose my way, but you, my friend, you will guide me. And we'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, and we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing a wave so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, on this journey. on this journey. So I encourage you all to attend the coffee and conversation that's next. I must apologize that I can't stay for it this week. I have another service I'm doing at 11 just this week. After this week, I'll be able to. I do look forward to seeing you at the congregational meeting on Wednesday. Today there will be a receiving line where you can say hello to Marissa in person, and there'll be some gathering rooms for conversation. I think one with Liz for the spirit play, and another one with Sean to talk about music, and one to talk about the sermon. The Zoom information will be on the screen. If you're local, please come to the weekly Vigil for Black Lives today and every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 2. It's on Main Street along the Church Common. The Black Lives Matter movement itself has been nominated for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize for the way that it calls for systemic change and how that has spread around the world. So you're welcome to the Wednesday workshops with Marissa from 4 to 5. It's an hour of music and sharing and chanting and poetry and writing and some gentle movement. You can check our weekly email, and if you don't get that, again, it's welcome@uugroton.org. The 3rd through the 5th graders in religious education have started a new social justice project now, and they're learning about and asking us to support this work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. It's called Guest at Your Table, so you'll be hearing more about that. This year, the funds that we raise are going to support communities who are most hurt by climate change. So you can donate to that at the church's website. It's www.uugroton.org. You can also make a donation toward the church's ongoing needs. Your generosity really sustains the work of this community that does so much good. So thank you for your generousness. If you need the support of the gas card ministry and the grocery card ministry, please let us know. Again, welcome@uugroton.org. We'll get there. All right. And now, I don't know, are you going to let me do the benediction that Reverend Aaliyah does? Here we go. I'm going to try it. Put one hand on your heart, and we're going to reach out with the other one. We are connected by strong and sturdy threads of love that will not let us go. Go in peace and be a blessing to this world.